Hello everyone and welcome to TImberborn. As a new player, you might be curious which map you should start with. Let's talk about the three maps over here and what they offer to you. So the first map we have is Lakes over here, and Lakes is an incredibly simple and beginner-friendly map. At least at first glance. However, you will soon realize that these twists and turns in the rivers and everything, well, there's a lot of way the water can flow, and if you don't prepare in advance, you're gonna end up sending bad water down your, main river over here. Starting on lakes, you're gonna want to start cutting down the trees really quickly. Once you get yourself some planks, however, you should definitely come up here because all of these trees are oaks, which means that they're gonna give you 8 wood each. Your primary goal at the start of the game is obviously going to be to dam this place up, and honestly you can go about it in any number of ways. The easiest of which is just going to be building your dams straight up, just like that. Just this dam over here is going to last you for a few cycles, at least until the bad tides start. In which case, you're gonna want some floodgates over here and then work your way up from there. Lakes is a pretty huge map, so there's not going to be any shortage of, fertile ground and whatnot. All of your freshwater is going to be coming in from these two nodes up here at the top left of the map. While there are 3 bad water sources on lakes, 1, 2, and 3. And in the 1.0 experimental branch, and when the update actually hits live, there is going to be a water seep over here, which does have a limited pressure, so you're gonna need to, use your brains with that one. This dam over here is going to let you live with the droughts and whatnot. However, when it comes to bad tides, you're gonna need to divert this water elsewhere. And this map gives you plenty of options to do that. You will find a bunch of these blockages that you can clear up with your beavers across the map. These blockages let you clear up alternate paths for the water to flow through, and you need to basically make sure that the bad tides go elsewhere and not towards your central colony over here. The most prominent feature of lakes is this amazing aqueduct, which you can play around with or even extend if you wish to. Something else that's been added to lakes is this amazing little blockage over here, which you can clear and get yourself some extra fertile land. By the way, you can place a dam over here, and even during the droughts, this water will stay over here for a few days, keeping this land fertile instead of, all of your crops dying straight away. Overall, I would say that Lakes is an incredible map if you're just starting out on TImberborn, and it is also probably the first map which you have played. Let's move on to the other 2 options that we have. This is Plains, and this is the second beginner-friendly map that is recommended for new players. The good thing about Plains is the fact that it gives you plenty of resources right off the start. Your initial playstyle over here is also going to be very similar to what you did on Lakes. The developers have been really kind to us and given us another one of these blockages which we can clear up and fertilize a whole bunch of land that we can use for farming. Once more, as long as you're dealing with droughts, you can place a single dam over here which will let you trap this water over here. Once things get dicey and the bad tides start, you're gonna want to replace this with a floodgate. That's gonna let you lock this place up completely and stop any bad water from coming in as well. Things have been switched up this time around because you have 2 bad water sources over here and 3 sources for fresh water, which does mean that this map is able to support more beavers, but maybe your CPU can't handle that many beavers in the first place, so stop worrying about that. Oh, I wasn't supposed to zoom out that much. The challenge with Plains is going to be the fact that when you're dealing with bad tides, you're gonna need to deal with all of these water sources separately. For example, during a bad tide, you're gonna want to basically first get over here, get rid of all of these blockages, send the bad water down this way, and of course you're gonna stop it from going down your channel as well. Bad water coming from this channel can also be dealt with in a similar way. You simply send it down over here where it quickly goes off the map on its own. I'm gonna be making a separate video on the different methods that you can use to divert bad water, so smash that subscribe button for that one. Overall, I would say Plains gives you a nice and balanced experience, and it will also test you out. I completely forgot to get some carrots for these people. Yeah, I might have delayed my farm over here a little bit too much, but they're gonna survive. The carrots are ready to be eaten now. Let's move on. Next up we have Waterfalls, and this might be my favorite beginner map if I'm being honest. Let me just rotate it a little bit over here so you can see why, and this is why. It's insane. And if you just see over here, yeah, there's a cave in there as well. So that's where you will be getting your metals later on in the game. Or if you want to be boring, you can just make your way over here to this side of the map and get your metals from over there. But come on, man. Come on, don't do that. Now, let's talk about this map. Once more, the developers are really nice to us and they've given us the same blockage system over here as well, which we are obviously going to use and abuse. But what's more important is just how the water sources in this map are actually designed. Right off the bat, you're going to notice that there are two bad water sources right next to each other, so there is going to be a lot of bad water flowing down from this way. But something that's more important than the bad water is actually the fresh water that is flowing over here. Yeah. And this waterfall staircase over here lets you basically upgrade your dam in levels. At the start of the game, you're just going to want to place dams over here so you can just close this place off and save yourself during the droughts, of course. However, as the game moves on, you're going to be able to work your way up here and upgrade your dam in levels. What do I mean, by the way? Well, you see, if you just place a layer of levees over here and then place your dams above on top of that, what you're going to be able to do is store some water over here in this base level. But we can do this in a better way as well, because we already have walls basically all around us, meaning that we can just take it all the way up to this level actually and place our dams up here. Now this is going to cost a lot of resources, but it's worth doing, especially as you move into the late game. And of course later on you can also just move this backwards even further until you reach this level as well. At which point you probably have more than enough water stored, if I'm being honest. Now dealing with the bad tides over here is fairly simple. The easiest solution is to just place some floodgates over here, which we cannot afford right now because we don't have the science points to do that. Now this is how you would deal with bad tides on this map. Basically, for the most part, this floodgate over here would be open and water would go over here naturally as it's already doing, just like that. But during bad tides, you would just close this side and send the bad water over there instead. Now this is a manual way to do this. You can use sluices to do it automatically, but that's beyond the scope of this video right now. And in the end game, what you can do is just send the bad water off the map up here, so you basically never have to deal with it downstream. And honestly, I would not remove these blockages at all. Doing so would just create more problems. By the way, whenever you're upgrading your dam over here for the end game, you need to make sure that you block off this section over here as well. Otherwise, all of your fresh water is going to start draining instead of, coming down here. You could also use this area to drain the bad tide water off the map, but in my opinion, it's not worth doing because by that time, you might as well just come up here and send the water off without ever, contaminating any other area on the map. Overall, in terms of how fun the maps are to play, I would rate Waterfall as one of my favorites, simply because of the verticality and just it's a lot of fun, okay? Because you're going to be learning how to deal with sluices and floodgates, and you're going to learn like how to build stuff vertically, since, there's not a lot of space over here. It is honestly the map I would recommend you start with, at least if you're picking from, the starting 3 maps. However, I'm not here to just talk about these 3 maps because there is one more map that I want you guys to play, even if it's your first time playing. So let's move on to that one. Hello and welcome to Cliffside, a map that is incredibly tiny until you realize that no, it's not. It's twice as big as Diorama. Yeah, that's kind of insane, right? So here's why I love this map. There is a single bad water source, and there is a single source for fresh water as well. And for new players, once you basically get up here, it's fairly easy to just send the bad water off the map through this channel. Yeah, that is literally why this place exists, okay? So you can do that. There is a lot of vertical space to cover over here, and for people who think that diorama is too small, they're gonna have a lot of fun over here because, well, like I said, it's twice as big as diorama. And with the experimental branch and whatnot and the 1.0 update, we're gonna get some relics up here as well. It's just 800 science, but it can help a lot. Something else that is incredibly fun that you can do is just complete this aqueduct over here, and this bad water will just go off the map as well. And if you are Ironborn, you can just keep this running 24/7 365, while also getting power from this. Ironborn, excuse me, is this Game of Thrones? I wonder if this should be my next series. I still haven't played with Iron Teeth, so maybe. And now for the part that I forgot to record. Which map is actually the best for beginners? If I were to rate the maps, I would say Plains is better than Lakes, okay? And Waterfall is for people who want to build really tall and really huge dams. Cliffside is not for beginners at all, so I'm just gonna ignore that. Ignore the fact that I said you should play on it even if it's your first time playing, because you're gonna get wrecked when the bad tide comes. But honestly, I don't enjoy the gameplay of Lake because the map is flat, there is way too much room for you to do whatever the hell you want, and the game just gets boring really quickly because you're not gonna be doing any vertical building over there, and then you're gonna cry about why all of your paths are red. Plains, in my opinion, is also the best way for you to learn the different water mechanics in the game, especially in terms of how you handle bad tides. Whereas in lakes, it's like you solve one problem and then all of a sudden half the map is flooded because the map is flat. So if you're a beginner who just wants a fun map, then definitely try out either Plains or Waterfall, depending on whether or not you want to build really tall and really huge dams. Thank you for watching, smash that subscribe button, and bye!